Welcome to another episode of the Glacier Guys podcast. I'm your host, Joey Fernandez. And this week, it's going to be a solo episode as my host, Omar, was not able to be here today. But either way, we're going to be talking some MLB today. Pretty short episode, most likely, but still wanted to get something out for you guys. So let's get straight into it. We're going to start off with some White Sox talk, of course, as I'm the White Sox fan of the podcast. But I wanted to start with the Vegas over-under on wins they have. So the line's currently set at 91 wins, and I feel like that's kind of an easy over. But, I mean, Vegas knows all typically. But, I mean, thinking from a baseball mindset, I think 91 wins feels pretty good as an over. At least coming from my perspective personally. As far as my reasoning goes, I think obviously the rest of the division got a lot better. I wouldn't say a lot better, but they definitely got better as a whole, with the Royals improving slightly, having their young players also progressing, along with the Tigers making some decent signings with Javi Baez and Eduardo Rodriguez, of course, but and guys like Riley Green and Spencer Torkelson knocking on the door. I think they're going to be the biggest threat in the division. I know the Guardians have some good pitching, but their lineup is extremely lacking. And then, who am I forgetting? Oh, the Twins. I mean, the Twins, they signed Correa. They got Sonny Gray. They have some decent young players that I do like, but I think the rest of their rotation is lacking. I think the White Sox are just far and away the best team in the division. I think they're going to once again run away with it. So, leading to that, I think them beating up on the rest of the division so much is going to add up to at least 93 to 97 wins, somewhere in that range. I don't think they would reach 100 just because I think the division got slightly better. But, I mean, they hit the over on this win total last year without Luis Robert for most of the season, without Eloy for most of the season, with Yasmani Grandal being out for a while, Nick Madrigal while they had him being out. So, I mean, I think that's an easy over in my opinion. As far as some of the, I want to address the fan base for the White Sox fans. I've seen a lot of negativity surrounding the team lately, and I really don't quite understand. I truly don't. I mean, if you look at the team top to bottom, they have A's in every category you can really ask for. They have an A on their lineup. They have an A in their bullpen. They have an A in their rotation. I mean, if you look at their rotation, that's the biggest gripe fans have had so far with them. I mean, if you really look at it, they have the number one, whether or not you want to call it Lance Lynn or Lucas Giolito, they're interchangeable. Then 3, Dylan Cease. 4, I'll call it Michael Kopeck. And then 5, Dallas Keuchel. I mean, that's extremely solid. You have a mix of veterans and young players with upside. I think you can't really go wrong with anybody in that rotation. I know Dallas Keuchel had a rough year last year, but I don't think that was him. I really don't. I know he had a back issue last year, and that kind of affected his control, and that's the kind of what he relies on solely to become, to rely on. Sorry about that. I thought someone walked in on me in the midst of the recording, but like I was saying, I think Dallas Keuchel had a back issue last year that greatly hindered him, especially since he's not the most overpowering pitcher. He really gets by on his control, and if he can't control where his pitches are going, he's going to get rocked. So I think he goes back to the mean this year. Not saying that he's going to go back to Cy Young ace level or anything like that, but I think he's going to go back to maybe a 1.10 ERA plus, maybe a 4 ERA or something like that, which is extremely solid, and I think that's more than plausible for him. And then as far as Michael Kopeck goes, he's going – I want to say he pitches as many innings as Carlos Rodon did last year, which obviously Carlos Rodon's innings were very quality, but I don't see any reason Michael Kopeck obviously may not live up to that exactly, but I could see him easily living up to at least 2/3 of that, and that's all we really need because a guy like Dylan Cease is only going to get better. Lance Lynn is going to stay Lance Lynn. He's the most consistent pitcher we probably have. And Lucas Giolito is only getting better also because he put on muscle this offseason, and I know he's looking to prove something. So I see no issue with that. And then as far as the bullpen goes, I mean, need I say more? I mean, they have Liam Hendricks. They have Craig Kimbrell. They have Aaron Bummer. They have Kendall Graveman, who they signed. They have Garrett Crochet. I mean, that's that's a lot of guys. Joe Kelly. I mean, the guys can go 3 innings, and I think we'd still be fine coming out of the bullpen with that. I mean, that's the best bullpen in baseball, no doubt in my mind. I mean, argue with me. I truly think that's the truth, and I don't think it can be argued otherwise personally. But that being said, another strength of the team, which is it seems like every part of the team is a strength, but starting off with the lineup, if you really look at it, you have I'll just read off the projected lineup and then I'll go from there. Number 1, Tim Anderson. 2, Luis Robert. 3, Jose Abreu. 4, Yohan Moncada. 5, Eloy Jimenez. 6, Yasmani Grandal. 7, Gavin Sheets. 8, Josh Harrison. And 9, it says Larry Garcia, but I'll go with Andrew Vaughn just to make it look better. Or Adam Engel. And that's great. I mean, the only really weak link, if you put Andrew Vaughn in there, is Josh Harrison. And he's not even that bad. He's a very league average hitter who can do a lot of things at the plate, and he's more of a defensive first guy in the first place. So that's extremely impressive, and I see no reason why this team doesn't win 95 games plus. So, I mean, what else there is to say on the topic? There's a lot of rumblings about the White Sox need to go out and sign Michael Conforto, who was recently reported that he had an injury to his shoulder in January, and he wasn't able to talk to teams up until a week ago. So that makes a lot of sense why his market's been really slow. But obviously I'd love to have him on the White Sox. It'd just add more depth to the team, and I mean, just add to that killer lineup that they already have. So obviously I'd want him, but I don't think it's the end of the world if we don't. I think that it may just add at-bats for younger players down the line, and that might even just add to more progression and realize that we may not even have needed him in the first place. But that's a pretty optimistic way to see it. I think a lot of people are going towards the pessimistic side, which is pretty typical, I guess, of White Sox fans as of late. But for the most part, I like where they're sitting at the right field position, because I was one of those people at first thinking that we needed someone in right field. But looking at it, I think a mix of Larry Garcia, Adam Engel, Andrew Vaughn, and Gavin Sheets will be more than fine, personally. I mean, barring injuries and stuff like that, but I think that the platoon options that we have are perfectly fine. If you look at a team like the Rays, they do so well with making things like this work at multiple positions, not just one, but I mean, probably like 4 or 5 at least of their positions. So I'm okay with it. And then as far as the Sean Manaea, Frankie Montas thing, I mean, obviously it'd be nice to have one of them, but with the depleted farm system that the White Sox already have, do you want to risk even more? You know, because most likely, since we don't really have much to give up in the farm system, we're gonna have to give up major league talent. And do you really want to do that? I don't know. I don't really see a good scenario for wanting to do that. You know. I don't know. For the right price, sure. I think Sean Manaea is much more viable, but I just think the price is too high, and I think Oakland is going for a finesse more so than trying to dump him, you know. But moving on, I just wanted to pick some division winners. Let's see. I'll start with the AL West. For the AL West, I think it's going to be extremely interesting. I'm very high in the Mariners this year. A little down on the Angels, so I'll go with the Astros winning the division. I know it's a boring pick, but it just makes a lot of sense. So I'll go in order of the teams. I got Astros 1, Mariners 2, Angels 3, Rangers 4, and A's 5. I think it's a little too early for the Rangers. They made some good moves this offseason, but they have much more work to do. And the A's, I mean, they're just it's a fire sale over there, so there's nothing really much to say there. Moving on to the AL Central, obviously I have the White Sox winning it by a landslide. Second up, I'm going to go with the Tigers. I think they're improving a lot, and I like their young players that they have coming up a lot, as I said before. 3, I got the Guardians. I think their pitching is going to keep most games close, and they're going to be able to steal a lot of games that people wouldn't expect them to win. And then 4, I'm going to go with the Twins. I think they have a very good lineup. Well, I'll say very good. And their pitching is just going to hold them back very much. Seems to be a trend for them. And then last place, I got the Royals. Still early for them. They still have some young players I'm excited to watch Bobby Witt this year, but it just doesn't seem like it's their time quite yet. And then next up, AL East. This is the toughest division in baseball, in my opinion. I think that's not a hot take or anything, but I think that's what most people believe. And for first place, a lot of people are high on the Blue Jays, but I still have the Rays in first place. I really just believe in the Rays. I really don't understand why people continue to doubt them year after year, but I mean, I'm not low on the Blue Jays by any means. I just feel like they're getting a little too much hype for a team that hasn't done it yet. So, second place, I have the Blue Jays. Third place, I have the Red Sox. And fourth place, I have the Yankees. I just like the Trevor Story move a lot for the Red Sox, and I think their pitching is going to find a way just to hold their weight while the lineup just mashes like always. And then for the Yankees, I just feel like they have a lot of holes in their team, and they're kind of lacking any moves. They really didn't do much this offseason, and you'd kind of like to see them do something, and they just kind of didn't. They kind of just flirted with the idea of doing things. And for the last place team, it's the Orioles, obviously. I mean, not even close. But for the AL East, I feel like all of the wild card spots could go to the AL East. They could have 4 playoff teams. At least 3, obviously. But with the National League, I'm going to start with the NL West. And clear favorite, Dodgers, of course. Need I say anything else? Signed Freddie Freeman, lost Max Scherzer, but the Dodgers are the Dodgers. They got Clayton Kershaw back. They lost Kenley Jansen, but I mean, if you look at that lineup, there's not a hole in sight. So, gonna keep on trucking along, winning 100 plus for sure. Second place, I have I'm going to go with the Giants. I think the Giants are going to hold steady, but I think them and the Padres are going to be the real race for second place. I think they're both going to be hovering somewhere in the 90s, maybe the mid-90s, and it's going to be a race up until the end, and I'm really excited to see that because I think the Padres are definitely going to bounce back. They're not as bad as they were last year, for sure. And I think the Giants overachieved a little bit, so the Giants are going to regress to the mean, and the Padres are going to progress to the mean. So, I think it's gonna be very interesting to see where that goes. I think the Padres not having Tatis for a while is going to really hurt them, but either way, I still think they're extremely talented and they're going to be really good. But for fourth place, I'll go with the Rockies. Just signed Chris Bryant. That's really it. And then the D-backs. They signed Ketel Marte to an extension, but besides that, not really much going on there. NL Central. This one's pretty tough, but I will say I think I have the Cardinals winning just based off of the consistency that they have and how much, they just have so much balance on their team. They don't really have anything special. Nobody really crazy. I mean, they have Tyler O'Neill, who had a great year last year, and Paul Goldschmidt, who's really solid also. But they just have a very steady team full of really consistent players. And I think that's the kind of thing that builds winning baseball, especially for the worst division in baseball. But second place, I have the Brewers. And I think if their lineup was even a little bit better, they'd definitely win this division easily. But they can't hit. They just won't hit for sure. I don't see Christian Yelich really bouncing back all that much. He just keeps continuing to hit the ball into the ground. I mean, he's a solid player, but I don't think he's ever going to get back to that MVP level. So I got them in second place. Third place, I have the Chicago Cubs. They're on the up and up. They spent some money this offseason, good for them, but they have some players that have a lot of high variance, and I don't really like that as far as Patrick Wisdom and the Frank Schwindells and the Rafael Ortegas of the world. I mean, you just it's hard to bank on guys like that, especially with the small sample size and the way the advanced stats don't favor them very much, like with Patrick Wisdom with his 40% K rate or Frank Schwindel with his high BABIP. I just don't have much faith in those guys, personally. And then in fourth, I have the Reds, one of those fire sale teams trading away Jesse Winker and Sonny Gray. So, I mean, nothing much going on there. And the Pirates, the Pirates of the Pirates, they're rumored to be trading Brian Reynolds at some point, so to the Padres potentially. But if that's the case, I mean, not looking too great. So for the NL East, this is an exciting division. I'm anticipating this one heavily because I'm not really sure where this is gonna go exactly. I think I got the Mets winning for sure, but the Phillies kind of excite me a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. They signed Kyle Schwarber and Nick Castellanos, and they got a couple guys in the bullpen, and it feels like it could be a good year for them. But you got to go with the defending champs, at least in second place. They're getting Ronald Acuna back. They got Matt Olson to replace Freddie Freeman. I mean, it's almost a lateral move, but just a little or slightly. I'll say that, but. I think this is a good team. They added Kenley Jansen also. Their bullpen looks really nice. So they're going to come in second place, but it's more so the Mets getting better than the Braves getting worse, if that makes sense. Because the Mets adding Max Scherzer, Chris Bassett, Mark Canha, Starling Marte, and I'm probably forgetting someone else. So that's that's disgusting. Third place, the Phillies. Obviously, as I was saying before, they had those additions, and they're going to be solid. They're going to be competing for a playoff spot, no doubt. Probably make it, in my opinion. And then the fourth place team would probably be the Marlins. I think they're on the up and up, but not quite yet. They got Jorge Soler, signed Alcantara to an extension. They're making the right moves. They're just a ways away. And then last place, they got the Nationals. Signed Nelson Cruz, signed Cesar Hernandez. Why exactly? Not really sure, but they're making some moves. They're attempting to win, I think. So that concludes the division rankings, and that also concludes the episode for the week. I hope you all enjoyed. The episode can be accessed on the library's website, SoundCloud, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and see you next week. Peace.